to me through the Fargo Forum and said, hey, wait a minute, I have a big vine of grape leaves. If, this woman wants to come to my house and pick grape leaves. And that's what I did, and ever since we've been friends. So, and it's been my honor. My name is Jihan Brifki, and I was contacted by Jess to come and speak to you ladies and gentlemen about my story, how I came to the Fargo-Moorhead area. She gave me that title, Kurdistan Roots and American Wings, and honestly, I feel like it literally matches me perfectly, because that's exactly how I would describe myself. So I came from Kurdistan. Kurdistan is north of Iraq. It is Kurdistan north of Iraq, and there's 4 parts of Kurdistan. We used to be a country in the 1920s. It used to be a country, but then when they had settled all these countries, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and then the Kurds were a country at the time, the United Kingdom and the French people or the government, because Turkey was going to go to war, would go to war and with them, and they just didn't want to go to war, so they decided to separate us because the Turks did not want Kurdistan to be a country. So some of us Kurds were thrown into Iran, some were thrown into Iraq, some were in Syria, and some into Turkey. So I am from the region of Iraq. That part of Kurdistan, right now, it's stable. Thank God for the American invasion. That happened, and ever since, the Kurds have had a lot of freedom and government and parliament, so it's great. But the story how I came to the United States is the Kurdish genocide took place in 1988 by Saddam Hussein's regime. It was a time where, it was a survival moment for every Kurdish person, every Kurd that lived in the Iraqi region. February through the September of 1988, Saddam Hussein and his regime, the Ba'ath Party, it's like a party of theirs with the Arabs that for a 6-month period, they were focused on the Kurdish population. They wanted to basically wipe out the Kurdish population. And so what they did is when the Anfal campaign happened, Anfal is when the genocide took place. It was a policy where they were initiating. It was like a 1960s campaign by Saddam Hussein to ethnically cleanse the Kurdish population from northern Iraq, to completely wipe us out. So this policy was known as Arabism. It spanned from 1960s all the way to 1991. And it was to, drive the Kurdish families out of their homes into the regions of deserted area. And then what they decided to do is bring all of their poor Arabs into the Kurdish region so they can, take over the land that we had. And, the key factors of this policy was our old oil fields, because Kurdistan has a lot of oil. We're very rich in oil, so that was one of the things that they got really greedy with. And also the Kurdish Peshmerga. The Kurdish Peshmerga are very, very strong-willed, good fighters, and they were very intimidated by them, and were worried that one day the Kurds would take over. So this was, this process was basically, it initiated like a systematic eviction and mass deportation of Iraqi Kurds from the Kurdistan region, controlled by the government. So they would basically take the Kurds into areas that were controlled by the Iraqi government, so they can basically, monitor their movements and activities. It was, so like the poor Arabs would all be moved into the areas that the Kurds live to take over the land and the Kurdish homes. What they would do is like, take the Kurdish man, woman, and kids. They would separate all of them, and a lot of those you would never see again, And women and kids would be held in detention centers, and they would take men where, like they would never return home, and they would be buried in mass graves alive. They would just bury them in mass graves while they were still living.
What year was that about?
This was in 1988.
1988.
Correct, yeah.
What government was controlling them?
Saddam Hussein, Iraqi
Yeah.
Ba'ath Party.
Saddam.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 1988 alone, 182,000 people were disappeared, executed during the Enfal genocide. Yeah. So 90% of the Kurdish villages were completely destroyed. Over 20 small cities and towns were completely destroyed. They actually, this were, even the animals, like the animals in that area were completely gone because of the attacks, by Saddam Hussein and his regime. Saddam Hussein's cousin, his name is Ali Hassan al-Majid, who was put in charge of the government in the northern Iraq. Northern Iraq is where the Kurdish region is. And his final solution to Iraqi Kurds problem was known as, he's also known as, like, they call him Chemical Ali, and I'm sure you guys heard of it on the news. And his idea was to, to use nerve gas. There was like nerve gas, mustard gas to use on the Kurds and to completely wipe them out. So it killed thousands and thousands of women, children, and men. They had areas where they were prohibited zones where like the Kurds were not allowed to be at. And if they were to see a Kurdish person there, they would just shoot and kill them without question. It was just shoot and kill. There was a mass disappearance of many, tens and thousands of, civilians, including like large number of women and children, sometimes the entire population of the community or the village. Over 2,000 villagers were destroyed by the time this all ended. The schools were completely destroyed. Religion buildings like mosques, churches. There's a lot of Christians in our region because we do have Christian Kurds, we have Muslims, we have Jews, we have Yazidis. There's not only one religion that is in the Kurdistan region. So a lot of those worshiping places were completely destroyed, and all the living hood were completely destroyed by the Ba'ath Party. The use of chemical weapons was mustard gas. It was nerve agent. I don't even know how to say it, the sarin or toxic combination against the town of Halabja. That town of Halabja was completely destroyed. They used mustard gas on the entire population of Halabja. That was, that killed over 5,000 people in one town. At least 7,000 were injured in minutes, seconds. People were injured, and the injured were having long-term medical problems due to all the chemical that was used in the exposure of the nerve gas and mustard gas. So, and this is when my family, fled. They were, my family, I'm sorry, I forgot to do this. So this is I'm gonna show you some pictures. This is a girl, they actually did a story on her. She lives in Europe somewhere, and she turned out into this beautiful woman, and her sister too, I saw pictures of them. This is when when Saddam attacked our towns. As you can see, the destruction that he had brought to the world. These are the homes that were completely destroyed. This is Halabja. This guy is a symbol of the Kurds genocide, because he's literally holding his baby while they use gas on him. This is all the people that actually lost their lives due to the genocide. And this is like a loved one of the family, trying to, she's at the burial. This is when my family decided that, okay, because when our town got attacked, I was 5 years old at the time, and the villages got attacked, the towns got attacked. Like every Kurdish family was so used to this. Like for example, my family had their own bunker where you dig up a hole underground, and when you would hear bombs, you would have to go into that bunker and go into hiding, so you don't get bombed or killed, And that's what or we have, Kurdistan it has a lot of like mountains, caves, so a lot of families would go into caves, because even if you got attacked, it was rocks, and those caves saved a lot of lives in the Kurdistan region. So my family would like either go into the caves or in the bunker, and after a couple of days of being attacked, they said, okay, you guys have to go somewhere, another country, because Saddam Hussein is in every town, they're military, and they're killing everything that they see. There's no way you can go back. So imagine just like leaving your house in a hurry just so you don't get shot or killed, and then find out you're never gonna go back home, So that was really hard for us, because my father was killed by Saddam Hussein's military. So my mom, it was really hard for her, to have like 6 kids that she had to take care of and to make sure she takes them to safety. When my mom did that, we weren't planning to leave our home, so she didn't really plan for it to have like extra clothes or our documentations or birth certificates, even though like for myself, I was never able to get a birth certificate because I was born at home, not at a hospital. And it was really hard at the time for somebody like myself to get a birth certificate, even in the Iraq region. So my family decided, okay, what we're gonna do, it was my family and like 20,000 other Kurds walking from all the way from Iraq to Turkey. And this is how they did it. Like, this is like an example, this is a picture of the time where our families were filling. I might even be somewhere in this picture, but I don't recognize myself in there. But this is, a part of that when we had fled to the Turkish borders. It took us 5 days and 4 nights of walking, into the Turkish border to be able to survive this genocide. So it was just like ongoing walking and walking. Sometimes we would take breaks for a couple hours because, they were leaving the elderly behind because they would get so tired of walking and they couldn't walk anymore. So some of the families were not able to carry them because there was no cars, there was no horses to get them on the ride or nothing. So it was basically walking where you have to carry them. Imagine being, carrying somebody for 4 or 5 days. That's just impossible. So unfortunately, a lot of people died on their way to the Turkish border. Like I said, a lot of the elderly were left behind. Some of the kids died because of starvation. It was something really, really ugly. So when we got to the Turkish, the border, that's when Turkey was like, okay, they are not entering into our borders or our country, and okay, so they're like, you guys have to go back to Iraq. And if we were to go back to Iraq, I wouldn't be speaking to you right now because we would all be killed. And that's when United Nations got involved. They're like, this is not okay. You guys have to open your borders. There's no explanation why you can't, because they're gonna all die. So they pressured the Turkish government to allow us to, enter the Turkish borders. So like a lot of us, well actually all of us, we lived in tents, and the tents, as you can see, they're very small. They're probably the size for a 2 to 3 person to go camping for a couple of days. And we had to live in this condition for 4 years. In a desert where there was like no trees. It was basically like the Turkish government threw us in a desert where it was just like all tents. You didn't have like your own bathrooms or anything. It was just tents. There was no water. They had like a water well for the entire camp, and everybody would have to go and get their water and bring it under their tent for like cooking, for like showering. So like honestly, like sometimes we didn't shower for a whole week, and they wouldn't allow you to go into the city to work or to make a living or to get food or anything. It was whatever they gave you, you know. Sometimes they would just bring bread and groceries and give it to you. Okay, it depended on like how many people you were. They would give you that, and then you would have to survive on it until the next distribution of food was. And there was a time where we all ran out of water. I remember it because I was still young, but I can still vaguely remember there was no water left in the camp. So, and the well was completely dried up. So the Kurdish population or the community in the camp, because it was all guarded by like the Turkish military, they wouldn't allow you into the city part. So they decided that nobody was allowed to go into the town, and everybody was like, please let us in, and they were trying to like squeeze themselves into the city or the towns that they lived in, villages around our camp, but it wasn't allowed. And it was just crazy how it all happened. I was in the tent, and all of a sudden, they just started shooting bullets at everybody. And I was like, I literally ran out to I got out of the tent, I looked, and this really, I can still like visualize this man. He was kind of a big guy, really tall, and I just saw him collapse, and there was just like a puddle of blood everywhere. And my brother was like right next to me, and all of a sudden he just fell to the ground. And he got shot right here in his muscle area and also in his stomach. And there's no ambulances, there's no doctors in our camp. So I had a relative who saw my brother collapse. So he literally carried him on his back for maybe a good half an hour to finally get the ambulance to come and take them to the hospital. So that's when he was admitted to the hospital. The doctors saw what was going on, and they're like, okay, his injuries are pretty bad. He is going to survive, but like his arm is completely destroyed. Like the bone is all fractured, it's broken. There's nothing left. We have to amputate his arm. And my brother's like, you are not gonna amputate my arm, because he was very young. He was in his early 20s. He's like, I can't be without an arm. And so he was still in the hospital. And then, we got the news that, okay, your name is one of the names, your family's name is picked out, and if you guys want, you can go to the United States of America. And my brother's still in the hospital, and well, of course, that was a dream for us, and we're not gonna say no to that. So this is us. So this is my oldest sister. Her name is Dawlat. She actually had to go back to Kurdistan because she was married and had her own family. So she wasn't able to come with us. But as you can see, this is my mom and my 4 siblings, because my older brother, so yeah, this is my mom, and that's me with a little big afro there. And that's my little brother, Nuzat. He actually has written 2 books, My Journey to America and War Can't Stop Love. It's based on true stories of his life events. And that's my older brother, Kalat, and my sister. I'm sorry, her head got cut off. I didn't even realize that. So that's my sister there, and we were basically going to come to the United States. And my sister, I don't know, someone took a picture of us because we didn't have cameras or anything like that. I don't know who took that picture. But as you can see, that is the only luggage that we brought with us to the United States, because we had nothing, So that was the day we were coming, and my sister was very sad that, we were coming, but my family was excited. We were excited for my brother, because we were like, okay, we have the chance. Maybe he will get the opportunity to see a better doctor, or, he'll save his arm because it hadn't been amputated yet. So that's when we came to the US, and this is me. When we first came, this is like Horace Mann School in Fargo. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. That was the first school I entered here in Fargo, so we came to Fargo, and I was registered at the Fargo Horace Mann School, and I started in 4th grade. I was 9 years old. So this is one of my friends that, her name is Zuzan, and she actually was one of the families that came with us to the United States. So when we saw each other, we bonded in class. And then as I was growing up, this is my friend Tara Shirling. I don't know if you guys have heard of Shirling Photography.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's his daughter. So she befriended me at the Horseman School too, and we would always go to her father's studio, and he would take us pictures. As you can see, that's Tara and that's me. So I was able to, meet a lot of friends and get to know people. And honestly, like Fargo was such a nice, kind community. Like everybody was so welcoming. This family, his name was Owen. I still remember him. He was an elder gentleman. He actually sponsored my family, and he would come to us and like bring us clothes, take us school shopping to get us everything that we need to go to school. And he was like an angel. Like he provided us everything that we didn't have, give us transportation to like our medical appointments. It was just so beautiful. So then, this is like us in like middle school. This doesn't come out very clear either. That's one of my friends, Chantal Rome. I grew up with her as well, and we're still connected. That's another friend of mine, Noah Watson. She's from Liberia. So we got to meet through Moorhead Middle School because our family had moved to Moorhead at the time. So we're still in contact, and so coming to this country was like an eye opener for me. I'm like, you know what? God gave me the chance. I, like many people, were not lucky as me. They didn't get to survive this genocide, but I did. And I got the chance to come to like the greatest nation in the world, I was able to come to the United States and live the life that I've always dreamed of, like the American dream. I mean, it's when you go through war and when you're from a different country and you've seen so much and you've experienced so much in life as a child and even as adults, like my mom and older siblings and everybody else and my friends that went through through the genocide, survived it, and came to the United States, I would say 100% of the Kurdish community in the U.S., they're very, very grateful that they're living in this country because it's full of opportunity. So me coming here, I'm like, you know what? I have a voice now. I can speak up. I can become whatever I want. I can advocate for my people, for my community. And that's how, that's how I ended up doing like nonprofit work, doing like protests. This is when we were getting attacked by Iraq and Iran, and like the Turks don't like the Kurds, the Arabs don't like the Kurds, the Iranians don't like the Kurds, the Syrians don't like the Kurds. We're like just hated by the entire Middle East, unfortunately. And it's like their worst nightmare for us to become a country for some reason. So this is when they were attacking the Kurdish. I think that, this was when we were getting attacked. So this is my friend Kars Thompson. She's like a good friend of mine. And, we went to protest and on Main Avenue at the bridge. So the Kurdish community went to protest and asked our government to do more to protect the Kurds because the Kurds are allies of the United States. When the Iraq invasion happened, not one American was injured or killed in the Kurdistan region. They were all protected by the Kurdish Peshmerga. Anytime, you needed to go get a breather or just to take a few days off when you were in war, they would go to the Kurdistan region to get some peace and quiet, and then they would have to go back to Baghdad and south of Iraq to go back to fight. So that, like, Kurdistan was their peace area. So this is us protesting, and then this is an event we did like at MSUM about welcoming immigrant students to the college to be able to say, hey, they reached out to us. They're like, let's work together. Let's bring good to this community. How can we work with the immigrant communities to make sure that they're getting the proper education and make sure that they have all the tools that they need to become better people, And we want to be able to contribute to their education. So we were doing that, and they had the Kurdistan flag. It made me really happy. This is like the vice president of MSUM. Jared is a friend of mine with MSUM. So I partnered with them to do the pathway to MSUM. And it was a very successful event. This is International Women's Day. So we got to celebrate Women's Day. You can see there's, women, we did it at the YWCA. I was very honored to wear my traditional Kurdish attire. And that's my friend Crystal, is a big supporter of mine. So all the, women in our community that are leaders, were at this event. This is Kristen. She's with the Haiti Eye Mission. I don't know if any of you know her. She's doing some beautiful work, and she is a leader in our community. So I was just honored to be part of this Women's International Day and to be standing next to her. And these are some of the ladies that were also at the International Women's Day celebration. So being able to speak to these women, share my culture with them, and being one of the, speakers at the event, it was an honor, honestly. This is like the nephew of the Kurdistan president, because I'm such a big advocate of the Kurdish cause, and I'm so active on social media and always going to do public speaking, and he's heard of me somehow. So he was in Nashville, Tennessee, because that is like where they have the biggest population of the Kurds. They call it Little Kurdistan. And they're actually, Nashville city is a sister city of Erbil, the capital of Kurdistan, because they contribute to everything. They've got Kurdish doctors, they're like clinics, the dealerships, any type of business you want or medical, there's Kurdish businesses there, because they're very, they're very well off, they're professionals, they're all, they've all got their higher education. So he was there, and he invited me to meet with him. So I flew down to Nashville, Tennessee, and I got to meet with him, and we talked about the Kurdish cause. We talked about how we can contribute to our communities here in the United States, how we can be a voice for the Kurdistan people in Kurdistan, and how we can support each other to bring peace to that region, and also to contribute to our American friends and our American communities here. So so this was us again. This is Lions Club. I'm part of the Lions Club. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not, or you know what Lions Club is, but I'm a part of the Fargo Gateway Lions Club, and we have we do the celebration of Giving Hearts Day, and every year we give out like $30,000 to $40,000 to nonprofits around our communities. It's like a basketball event that we have. We sell tickets, or we sell advertisement, and then all that money that we do give out, we contribute to our community. So that's one of the, like the Giving Hearts Day, where we were giving out money to nonprofits. This is Fauzia. She's a great leader in our community. She runs the Immigrant Development Center, and I work with her on many projects. She also has like an international food market where it's on Main Avenue, and my sister actually shares a room from her market for her salon. She has a salon there. So I work with her. Again, that's Jared and Dr. Jackson. I work with them through MSUM in our communities here. This is me going to the United Nations. I never thought there would be a day where I would actually go to the place that advocated for me, and that was the reason that I'm living right now. Because if they had not pressured Turkey, and if they had not speak to the Turkish government, I would not be here speaking right now. So I was able to go there and inside there, part of the Lions Club, a day at the UN. This is me, again. I'm constantly doing public speaking at different events, community centers, because I'm so grateful that we have such a beautiful community that are very interested in learning about others, like hearing their story. It's a beautiful thing for our community to be so open-minded. This is going to Boston to the convention for the Lions Club. I got to meet people from all over the world that are part of the Lions Club, and it was amazing. There were so many leaders there. And it was just honestly like one of the best events that I've gone to. And this is my friend again, Crystal. She was with me at this event. Again, this is another Women's International Day celebration. I was able to attend and become like a public, speak there as a public speaker there, and tell my story or share my story at this event too. It was at the Dakota Medical Foundation. That's my friend Catherine, and my other friend, this is Sally, again at the International Women's Day. And there are my other friends, people that came and wanted to take pictures, and we did that. So this is again the United Nations, me standing tall, like, oh my gosh, I'm here, I can't believe this. So yeah, and this is my friends that were with me at the time when we went to the United Nations. And this is my friend Fauzia, Crystal, us at UNICEF. We were right in front of that building. We're like, look at that, like, we're here. This is Andrew, my friend. He's worked on so many projects with me. He's like a software, he works in software, but honestly, he's been such a big supporter of mine, like helping me with a lot of the nonprofit work that I do, and he's done it all volunteer work. And this is another project that I did, and they wanted to do a story on. So it's just like, I'm just so honored that people are so interested in my story, and they want to get like a glimpse of it. They want to make news, like in the news, or like make videos. It's beautiful that so many people are interested in learning about who I am and how I became a leader in this community. These are some of the organizations that I've worked with that are nonprofit. Kurdish Community of America was the first nonprofit I actually started working with. And I did like projects with, again, we would do a lot of public speaking, education, awareness about the Kurdish cause. This is the Immigrant Development Center. Like I said, I'm like the program director there. I help with a lot of the programs and go to a lot of meetings with Fauzia. It's a really good nonprofit that we have in our community that's making a huge impact. This is Hanasa Plus. It's a nonprofit that started in Kurdistan, and they reached out to me. They wanted me to work with them and on how we can work together to protect the environment. So I was really interested in this, one, because it was in Kurdistan, two, because I feel like it's so important for us, to educate our community and to protect the environment and to know how important the nature is to us humans. So I've been doing this project, like working with this organization. Now, currently, locally, we're doing a youth project where the youth are learning on how to grow their own food. We've actually gave them like a little small plot of land where they can plant their own food, and show them how to do it and how to be successful and how to have a garden that is they're able to grow food. And another project also for the community gardening. It's called Hanasa's Community Gardening. I'm part of that as well, where we were able to help like 33 Kurdish families secure land so they can have their own garden. So when you go there in the evenings on 40th Avenue in Moorhead, you'll be like, wow, what is going on? Is there an event? They're constantly there just talking, working in their gardens. It's so nice to see. Those are the two projects that I'm working there on here locally, and then I'm doing a couple projects in Kurdistan. Right now, I'm working with some of the professors at Wisconsin University, and also Prairie Rose, Rick Hall, and Verna Kragnes. They're like some amazing, amazing leaders in our community who have honestly taught me a lot. I have learned so much leadership skills from them, and they're so supportive of me. In July 20th, we're going to bring 5 people from the Kurdistan region to Moorhead, Minnesota to do a training, like a training seminar. They're all in higher education, 4 professors from higher education, and also the president of Hanasa from the Kurdistan region. And because of what's going on in the Kurdistan region, because we're constantly being attacked, because we're called the spies of United States, the spies of Israel, because we believe in the American values, we believe in freedom, we believe in democracy, so we're hated by the Middle East. And I said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to start I'm going to start a petition to urge our leaders like Congress, senators, the White House to take more action towards the Kurdish people, because we're like, your number one allies. We've been friends for thousands of years, like many, many years, not thousands, but many years, and that we're not getting the support that we need, unfortunately. And we wanted more support, just at least to secure the area, so we're not constantly getting bombed. Because even right now, we're getting bombed by Turkey, we're getting bombed by Iran. Just like a few months ago, Iran bombed us, and this really wealthy businessman was killed in his home with his daughter in the house, accusing the Kurdistan region of being spies of Israel. So that happened. So I started this petition. So far, I've got almost 5,000 signatures, but I'm still working on it, and I'm gonna keep on going until I need what I need to be able to advocate. This is another project that I'm doing in Kurdistan region. It's called Project of Giving. What I do is focus on medical and also like the poor in Kurdistan region. There's a lot of women that end up being widows because of the ISIS war that happened in Iraq, and you know, a lot of women lost their husbands to ISIS, to Iraqis, Ba'ath Party, Saddam Hussein. A lot of them don't have jobs, income, so they're like living in harsh conditions. For the past 3-4 years, I've been working with this scholar where we do fundraising, and then we collect money and we purchase homes for them, so they don't have to worry about rent or not being able to live in a house or not have any security or you know, anything like that for their kids. So since I've worked with him, I believe that we've already maybe bought like 10 to 12 houses. And we've been able to help over 2,000 people with like medical care, sometimes paying their rent, sometimes giving money to them for groceries, things like that. We're doing that. And as of right now too, I'm actually doing a fundraiser for another woman who has 8 kids that is like living in really bad conditions, and we're going to try and, you know, fundraise for the next 10 days to hopefully get her a house. So, and it's called, you know, Project of Giving. I do that in Kurdistan. And my full-time job that's all the stuff I do, like volunteer work. But my full-time job is I'm an independent contractor or a licensed interpreter. I work with the Homeland Security, federal government. I do deportation cases. So I travel to all 50 states. So I have a contract with the government. And I also work with like a local agency here, and I have 2 other contracts where I work from home. I work with Canada, United Kingdom, and all 50 states in the US interpreting. So it could be like court hearings, it could be medical, it could be any type of hearing that, you know, it could be any type of situation that I do interpreting for. And honestly, I love doing it because my schedule is flexible. I'm able to contribute my time in my community, volunteer, and also travel. I like traveling because I'm always somewhere doing the interpreting. And whoever thought I would one day be the Lady of Liberty, and I really did it. So I feel like I'm the Lady of Liberty because, you know, like with everything that I've gone through and being able to come to this country and to be able to live the American dream and contribute to my community and become a leader where other women look up to me, other kids come to me for advice, and I'm able to help everybody. Honestly, it's a great honor, and I'm just so honored to even be here today and to tell you my story. And feel free if you have any questions. If you're, you know, anything that you would like to ask me, you can go ahead and do that. And I've lived in Fargo, Moorhead for over, I think, yeah, it's been 31 years.
How many years?
31 years.
31 years in Fargo.
Fargo, Moorhead, yep. We first came to Fargo, then moved to Moorhead. But yeah, Fargo, Moorhead, 31 years. So I grew up here. I'm officially a real American, right?
Did your sister make it out of there? Was the married sister?
My sister did make it. She's still though in Kurdistan. And she's got her family, her kids. But she's doing good. Like I said, Kurdistan region right now is pretty safe. You know, they have their own government, their own president, their own parliament. But unfortunately, they're still controlled by Baghdad and Arabs because they don't want to see an independent, free Kurdistan. Why? Because we got so much oil. You know, if we are in control of our own oil, we'd be probably one of the richest countries in the world, where probably nobody had to work. We wouldn't even have one poor person. But unfortunately, all of our oil, everything has to still go through them. So, but for security and all that, it's very, very safe. Like, you go there as an American, you're gonna be like, this place is beautiful. Am I in America or Kurdistan? Because there's like a lot of American restaurants, there's American flag everywhere. They even have an American university in Kurdistan. And like all the cities, they love America. So she's there and she's pretty safe, but yeah, so she survived.
What city is the American University in?
There's a few of them, honestly. It's not just one. I know there's one in Duhok for sure. And I believe, I don't know if it's in Erbil or Soleimani, but there's more than one in the Kurdistan region.
Jihan, we were visiting a little bit before, and you said there's about 4,000 Kurdistan people in the Fargo-Moorhead area.
Yeah, that's correct. We do have a population of around 4,000 Kurds in Fargo-Moorhead. And some of them came in the 70s, you know, to get their higher education and to go back to Kurdistan to serve with the government to hopefully one day become an independent country, but they were not able to because of ongoing conflict in the war, so they ended up staying. And like then some people came in 1991 as refugees, and then we came in 1992, and then there was another there's another group that came in 1996, and then after ISIS, the war with ISIS, a lot of them came then, and some have just recently came here on the green card lottery. They won. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that it really did happen, but it does happen. So yeah.
What organization is helping them now to come?
Honestly, like these people that are coming, like on lottery, green card, they're on their own because it's lottery, so there's not a lot. I know like when refugees used to come, there was like Lutheran Social Services. I know that's shut down. There is like another version of it, but I don't think it's like you get as much help as maybe when we first came in 1992, where you have sponsors, you have everybody guiding you. We even had a lady, her name was Pauline, I still remember her name. She would come and pick us up and take us to school. And she did that every single morning. So yeah.
And it's about agencies partner with the state and with the federal government to help refugees once they're resettled in a community. But the United States government and every other civilized country agrees to resettle a certain amount of refugees every year. So even when it was Lutheran Social Services, it wasn't them bringing them to Fargo. It was the U.S. government bringing them to the Fargo-Moorhead area and putting them into the care of Lutheran Social Services to help get them settled.
They just provide the services that they need
Yes.
to become self-sufficient and to help them find jobs, to let them know like what the, you know, you come in like, me come into America, I don't know what the laws are. I don't know like when you need to call the police, you know, or like how I'm supposed to drive, or what's the speed limit, or like what is a crime, what is not a crime, like how can you contribute to your community if you don't have anybody guiding you and you don't know the language? How are you supposed to come and become a successful person? So I feel like it's really needed in our community to be able to have that available to them. So we have people that come to this country, they contribute. We don't enable them, we enable them to work and to be able to become professionals and have jobs and, you know, to work, because we don't want people to come here and to stay on government assistance and they don't have any other way of surviving, you know? So it's good to have these services so they, you know, become sustainability for our community.
The current name of that is Global Refuge, and they're continue to help families. I work with an Afghan family,
Okay?
getting them around and teaching them our ways and schools, and
Yeah.
the
so,
men
yeah.
all have been hired for all really good jobs.
She's
Yeah,
an
I mean,
angel.
like 5, 6 years from now, you're gonna be like, wow, this is you. Wow, look how successful you are. Honestly, like most of the immigrants that do come to this country, they're here for a reason. They're not here to take over the jobs or anything, or the government, or, you know, to be on the welfare system. They're here for the American dream. They're here to find themselves a good, you know, life, to buy a house, to buy a nice car, to work hard, to make sure that their kids are in education. Because, for example, my mom was never able to go to school. She never went through one day of school because she was constantly going from bunker to survive. Like, imagine being able to go to school. So she doesn't know how to read in her language. She doesn't know how to write in her language. So how is she gonna come here and learn, English? That's so difficult. So, so that's why our parents push us, like, get your education. Go get your higher education. They don't want you to stop. They want you to keep going until you have like the highest degree, And from what I see in our community, honestly, like all of our kids, they're like doctors, there's nurses, they're like bankers. They're very, very professional Kurds here in our community. And it just makes me so proud. Yesterday I was at an event because they're opening up a Kurdish center, and all the kids that wanted to, or young adults that wanted to get involved in the community and contribute and start this center, like some of them were like, nurse practitioners, some of them were going to medical school, some of them had that, like, some little girl, a girl just graduated with honors and she got a full ride to Concordia. I'm like, wow, this is all great work in our community by the Kurdish community. So yeah.
Do you live with family members?
I do. I am married and I got 4 kids. We live in Moorhead.
Wow. 4 kids?
4 kids.
And plenty of time to promote your cause.
What was that?
How old are your children?
Oh, my kids, they're 9 years old. I have twins. And then I have a 15-year-old, and I do have a 21-year-old.
And what?
21-year-old?
Oh.
He's in college in California. He plays football and he's in school, so he's in Ventura, California. Yeah.
What happened with your brother with his arm? Was his arm able to be saved?
Oh, good question. Yes, my brother came here, and I think like the second day he was here, at the time it was merit care, and I still remember the doctor's name, Dr. Stavanger. He saw that doctor in orthopedics, and he actually did surgery on his arm, and he is able to keep his arm, and it works, and it's functionable. But like, there's like, he can't pick up like heavy stuff, but he's able to use his arm, and yeah, he's doing well. There was a time I remember asking for his medical records because he worked with the U.S. government as an interpreter when the U.S. invaded Iraq. So he was with the military and he needed his medical records, so he requested me to grab them. And I was reading his medical records. I'm like, are these medical records or is it a book? It literally was like a book. This, young 20-some-year-old guy from Kurdistan is here. He was shot in the arm, and he has this, like, it was just, I'm like, wow, this doesn't look like medical records.
Where is your mom now?
My mom, she's in Moorhead. Now she's all by herself. She took care of 6 of us, constantly working so hard to make sure that we had the life that we have now, become, professionals, to have a good life. She worked so hard for that. And now I feel so bad because she lives on her own. But honestly, like, my mom and I are very, very close. I don't think a day passes by where her and we don't see each other, because I'm so attached and connected to her, because she has been a mother and a father for, us siblings.
Well, that's wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
How old is your mother?
My mom, she's in her 70s, the early 70s.
Oh, and how many years have you been here again?
31.
31 years.
Yeah, September of 2024 will be 32 years. So almost 32 years.
What did
I
you
grew up here.
What did you do after high school?
I moved to Sioux Falls for actually like 5 years, and I worked with Cigna Healthcare. I did that for a job, and then I decided to go back to Kurdistan in 2005. And I stayed there for 2 years. It was so important for me to connect to my culture and to my language, because honestly, I'm like one of the biggest advocates of the Kurdish cause, because I feel like, there is no justice in that region when it comes to the Kurds by the Middle Eastern countries. They have like taken our identity from us. They have taken our culture from us. They have taken our religion from us. They've taken everything from us, And it's just hard to be an American and to have that Kurdish blood and just to stay silent. You're like, I have to say something. Like, maybe a lot of you today had no idea about the Kurds, or maybe you had no idea this really did happen in the world. And me coming and sharing my story with you, now all of you know what happened to the Kurds and the Kurdish history. So if I keep on doing this, this is gonna like open up people's eyes, like, hey, wait a minute, these people deserve to be free. These people deserve to have their own country. What have they done for them to be, ripped off having the, being a country. Like everywhere you go in the world, they're a country, they're on the map, but we're not. And there's 45 million Kurds worldwide. Can you believe that? 45 million Kurds without a country. That's very, very sad.
45 million?
45 million Kurds that are scattered in Iran, Turkey, the Kurdistan region of Iraq and Syria. Like in Iran, you see how barbaric they are. Just a few years ago, this Kurdish woman didn't wear a headscarf, and she was walking, she was actually like going through a checkpoint, and they saw her not wearing a hijab. They took this woman, beat her to death, and then they said she had a heart attack.
Yeah.
It was a Kurdish woman, they killed her. Like the Iranian police, every day, like if you watch their news, they're hanging Kurds. Like they're hanging them, giving them death for speaking up, for being activists. In Iraq, that's like right now it's a little bit better, but they still, we're not allowed to sell our own oil. There's a lot of things that they stopped the Kurds from doing, but it's still better than the other regions because of, like the leaders we have in the Kurdistan region. They've been like really strong fighters. Like Masoud Barzani, his father, Mullah Mustafa Barzani, is now like the father of the Kurds because he literally died fighting for the Kurdish cause, and now his son did, and then it keeps going like where they have fought so hard where they were able to bring peace and security to that region, and they have like a lot of support like from the European, United Kingdom, the US, but when it comes to becoming an independent, everybody stays silent. I don't know why. The only country that did support us when we did the referendum like a few years ago was Israel. They're like, they deserve to be a country.
How can they tell the difference in appearance
With the,
between an Iraqi and a Kurd?
if you, like, let's say if you go there, you will know it right away.
What?
If you go to the Kurdistan region, and if you go to the south of Iraq, where it's, like Baghdad and Mosul and other areas in south of Iraq, and you go to the north of Iraq, you'd be like, am I still in Iraq? This is not possible. Like you go to the Kurdistan region, it's almost like Europe, the United States, There's a lot of peace, like women are able to, dress however they want. There's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of democracy. In the other region, there's not. Plus, when it comes to security and safety, as an American, you could be from anywhere and go to the Kurdistan region, and you can say I'm an American all day, and everybody's gonna love you. They're gonna invite you for dinner. They wanna, give you rides, free rides. They wanna serve you as much as they can. But like if you go to the south of Iraq, if they know you're an American, I can't promise you're gonna live.
Wow.
So that's how big of a difference it is.
And I don't think we really knew that
Yeah.
when you were coming here,
hmm
because you were something we hadn't heard of much before.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I'm here today. To speak to you guys, so you can learn more about the Kurdish people and our cause and what we've gone through, through history. And we've always been peaceful people. Like we've never went into another country or fought them or tried to kill them or tried to take their land. The only time we've ever fought is when we had to protect our people, to protect our land, because they're always coming into our area and invading. Even ISIS, did you see like what happened with ISIS? They completely destroyed the south of Iraq because the government officials, the community members were part of ISIS. But then when they tried to come into the Kurdistan region, even the women carried their weapons. They're like, you are not coming into the Kurdistan region. And they sure did not go. We lost a lot of lives, but they were not able to do that because we were able to protect our land. We didn't believe in their ideology. ISIS, they're like brutal people. And, their biggest fear was to be killed by a Kurdish woman. Did you ladies know that? Their biggest fear, because they thought if they get killed by a Kurdish woman, they're not going to go to heaven, and they're not going to get their 74 angels. And Kurdish women are tough, I'm going to tell you this. Like, we had there's this woman that she was a sniper, and she killed over 100 ISIS members. Like, these women are so strong. My neighbor, when we were talking one day, and when we first moved into our new house a few years ago, and he thought, I don't know where he thought I was from. And then we started talking, and I told him I'm Kurdish. He's like, oh my God, you're part of these, the woman, the fighters. I'm like, yeah, that's our Kurdish woman. And he was just so amazed about how strong they are and how they're not afraid to face the enemy.
I've seen in the news recently about the diaspora. Is that how you pronounce that word?
Yeah, I was actually part of that. Like, I'm not in the center or part of like the organization itself, but when I showed you that picture of the nephew of the president, when I met with him, they were opening up centers in other regions where there's like a big Kurdish population. So I informed him, I'm like, wait a minute, we have a big Kurdish community in Minnesota too, and we have a lot of intelligent people, and they're very active, and they would be, they would love to be part of something like this. So Mr. Kurd, he's like one of the White House correspondents for the Kurdish news. So he's constantly at the White House, and he came here, Rahim Rashidi, and he was staying with, he was staying at the hotel, but he was spending a lot of time with me because I helped him coordinate this, and we were able to get like, 12 board members, 9 of them active, 3 of them inactive. We were able to vote in a president, vice president. Vice president is a woman, so I'm so excited for her. And now they're going to like connect with community leaders, community members on, okay, how can we work together to make Fargo-Moorhead a better community? So we had like the Moorhead chief, fire department chief, we had police officers, we had city councils, we had a lot of people like, Dr. Hogan from the Fargo City. We had some people that are running for office, Congress, that came and supported this and wanted to be part of communicating with them to help guide them to open up the center.
Can you say what years were the main years that the Kurds were being attacked?
We're being attacked right now.
What?
We're being attacked right now. As
No,
we
but
speak.
how far back did
I mean,
it
since
start?
1920s, since they separated us into 4 parts, the Kurds have never really had peace because we're constantly getting attacked by our neighbors. They're so afraid of us, becoming independent. They don't want to give us the freedom. Just until like early 90s, the Kurds were not allowed to speak Kurdish in Turkey. You could not name your kids a Kurdish name. You would go to jail. Like this Kurdish politician, his name is Demirtas. He's well known and he's a lawyer. He's very intelligent, very, very smart man. And he was advocating for the Kurdish cause, never committed any crime, didn't do anything. He's been locked up in prison for I think like a decade now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And they just gave him life in prison. They're like, you're never gonna see outside again. He never committed any crime, but they're like, you're against the Turkish government. And that's just one story. There's so many people, even this Kurdish singer, her name is
A
Huzan.
lot of the attacking of Kurds started before Saddam, right?
Yeah, before Saddam, but I mean, Saddam has always, like the Iraqi government has always been part of it. Yeah, so.
But when the fighting began between the Iraqi army and the Kurds
I think that started in like the 60s. They said like in
in the
1960s.
1960s?
Yeah, that's when they started like attacking the Kurds and trying to, completely wipe them out until now. But like right now, the situation between Iraq,
And is Dahok in Kurdistan?
it is, that's my town. My
Dahok?
family's from there, yeah.
How do you spell Dahok?
It's D-O-H-U-K.
D-O-H-H-U-K,
H-U-K.
thank you.
Yeah, I was actually just down there 2 years ago and it was so beautiful.
What?
I was there 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was very, very beautiful.
And it is surviving as a town.
Yeah. I mean, you go there, it's well developed. There's a lot of development there. You're gonna be surprised. You're gonna go, oh my God, this place is so beautiful. It's well developed. Like I said, the Kurds are all about, like the American life. So they try to, bring a lot of like American restaurants, American companies. There's so much that is, that they want to bring into the Kurdistan region. Just like how I'm doing this environmental project, I want to bring this educational stuff into their school system that we practice here in the U.S. I want to take it over there too, so they can benefit from it.
I want to ask about the oil.
Yes,
Who controls the oil, man?
Iraq does, the Iraqi government.
They own, they whatever, when
Yeah.
the oil is theirs.
Yeah, like, I
It's in
mean,
your country.
yeah, even if we sell it, we still have to go through them, even though it's in our region. Like Kurdistan, it has so much oil. Yeah, and I always think like, I'm like, why wouldn't America wanna free Kurdistan and make it like a beacon of hope for the entire Middle East? Because we're pro-Europe, we're pro-America. This would be a place where, you know, they would even benefit from, even with oil, you know? Why would you, I don't know. I just don't understand why, like, we're not an independent country. And when we did the referendum a few years ago, like I said, the entire world stayed silent. And 97% of the Kurdish population voted yes for an independent Kurdistan, but like the entire world was silent. They were against it. They didn't allow this to happen. The only country that said, yes, let's vote this in and this is good, was Israel at the time. Yeah,
How sad.
I know, it's very, very sad. And that's why I'm here, so you guys can help me advocate now.
I remember that, and I didn't know you then.
Yeah.
But I am friends with a couple Kurdish people on Facebook, and they were talking about that, and they were talking about, you know, how they came to the